teruslah melibatkan secara aktif di dalam pasaran saham ini dan juga perlu memiliki knowledge, ya. Seperti yang penganjur katakan, knowledge by money. Saya ingin mengambil peluang ini sebelum kita buka kepada soalan dan juga jawapan, sebar sedikit tentang pelibatan saya untuk menerajui 3 PLC ataupun public listed company. Antara dia Holdings Berhad, kedua K-Power ataupun nama asal dia adalah kumpulan Powernet Berhad, dan yang ketiga adalah SCIB ataupun Sarawak Consolidated Industry Berhad. Saya ingin memulakan dengan sebuah dinamik Holdings Berhad. Seperti yang sedia maklum, ianya merupakan sebuah syarikat kejuruteraan ataupun dalam bahasa Inggeris dia provider of engineering solutions, dan syarikat ini memberi ataupun mempunyai 4 bidang khusus yang menjadi core revenue generations to the entire group of companies. Nombor 1, operation and maintenance. Kedua, EPCC ataupun engineering, procurement, construction and commissioning. Ketiga, kita sebutkan sebagai ICT, information communication technology, dan yang keempat adalah education and training. Kalau kita melihat dari segi skop masing-masing, ianya adalah saing kait mengait di antara satu sama yang lain, as such that it provide a one-stop integrated solution yang kita namakan sebagai engineering solution provider. Saya tak akan mengulas lebih detail ke dalam penguraian skop O&M, EPCC, ICT dan juga education and training. Tapi saya cuma akan memberi penjelasan jika soalan ditujukan ke arah memahami skop ataupun core capability dalam 4 bidang itu kalau ada soalan nanti. Tapi yang ingin saya tegaskan di dalam sembang santai ini, dalam perancangan Academic Holdings Berhad, kita meletakkan suatu faktor yang amat penting, apa yang kita sebutkan sebagai sustainability. Ya. Sustainability ini dalam istilah mudah dia, ianya merupakan suatu perkataan yang menjelaskan pengekalan kewujudan. So what it means here is, when we structure the business plan of Academic Holdings Berhad, we took the intention of sustainability as one of the key things that we need to incorporate in what we want to do. Maksudnya di sini adalah sebagai sebuah syarikat milik awam, ya, public listed entity, kita mempunyai ataupun kami mempunyai tanggungjawab yang amat tinggi kepada all the stakeholders. Sebab stakeholders telah meletakkan keyakinan, kepercayaan dan pengharapan yang amat tinggi, ya, kepada kami untuk menguruskan kewangan yang mereka ataupun pelaburan yang mereka letakkan ke dalam syarikat Academic Holdings Berhad. Jadi plan perniagaan yang kami lakukan hendaklah berkekalan supaya pelaburan yang diletakkan itu tidak akan rugi dan juga hilang. Ya. I still remember that there is one retired shareholder who came to approach me and he basically told me that this is his lifelong saving, which it means that this is the retiring money that he has, working over so many years of his life, and he is putting, and he entrusted us to manage that investment that he has put into sebenarnya. So saya rasa semua juga yang lain meletakkan pengharapan yang begitu tinggi kepada kami untuk menguruskan pelaburan yang mereka letakkan di dalam sebenarnya. Sebab tu sustainability plan is very important. Dan untuk sebenarnya bagi mewujudkan konsep sustainability ini, kita meletakkan asas bahawa the revenue contributions to the company cannot depend on one source of capability. Maknanya there must be a basket of different capabilities in which based on the cycle of the world global economy, there will be sometimes certain capabilities will not be required, other capabilities will be required. So yang kami merasa bangga dan selamat dalam Cyberdynamic Holdings ini adalah kepakaran ia di dalam kerja-kerja penyelenggaraan, maintenance activity. So this maintenance activity we have been doing for the past more than 27 years already, dan ini tahan lasak dilanda keadaan ekonomi yang kepelbagaian, especially during the downturn of economy. Maintenance will always be required. So maknanya ini akan adalah satu servis yang akan berterusan. EPCC of course kalau ekonomi tidak baik, projek akan berkurangan dan EPCC akan berkurangan juga. ICT is another good capabilities and service. It is required regardless of how the economic situation is. And I would say that in this COVID pandemic situation, ICT has helped us to bring in the extra revenue to compensate for the losses that some of the EPCC contract tidak dapat di draw down. So begitu juga dengan education and training. Bagi sebenarnya kita tidak melihat ini sebagai suatu income yang tinggi, tapi ianya merupakan suatu platform untuk menguatkan pandangan customer ataupun potential prospek kepada keupayaan Cyberdynamic sebagai sebuah institusi yang memberi integrated engineering solutions. So that is what Cyberdynamic is doing, and I will say that over the 4 years, more than 4 years of experience as a listed entity, we have grown the company with a market capitalization of 2 billion ringgit Malaysia to what it is today. It is fluctuating between 5.5 billion to 6.5 billion ringgit Malaysia. So lebih kurang market capitalization of sebenarnya. So what it means here is the team that has been assembled to manage Cyberdynamic is able to make an achievement of approximately around 2.5 times or 3 times increase from the initial IPO size of 2 billion ringgit Malaysia. So ramai orang yang bertanya, kenapa saya melabur ke dalam SCIB dan juga kenapa saya melabur ke dalam K-Power. Apa kaitan di antara the other two listed company as compared to Cyberdynamic? So saya mulakan dengan SCIB dahulu. SCIB merupakan sebuah syarikat yang manufacture civil construction products. Antara dia seperti spam piles, IBS product, precast products, other civil product like roofing products and so on so forth. So saya merasakan bahawa seberdinamik daripada asal dia memang tidak mempunyai keupayaan ataupun kepakaran di dalam civil construction. I myself is also a mechanical engineer. Dan di dalam perjalanan sebagai seorang usahawan, managing seberdinamik holdings, kebanyakan bila kita mendapat kerja berkaitan dengan civil, kita akan subcontract it out. Dan bila kita subcontract it out, mungkin kita tidak mempunyai size civil construction yang besar. Dan the subcontractor whom we engage, they are also subcontractor to bigger size of civil construction entity. Dan kita mengalami ada beberapa insiden yang berlaku di mana kita disabotage. So when we sabotage, we cannot give efficient solutions to our customer in terms of the performance. So daripada keadaan yang sedemikian, maka saya merasakan bahawa untuk menjayakan sebagai integrated engineering solution provider, kita mesti ada the entire supply chain of capability. Capability civil construction ini perlu ada. Dan atas dasar yang sedemikian, saya telah invest ke dalam SCIB sebagai sebuah syarikat yang akan membantu seberdinamik dari segi civil construction capabilities, and also to become competitive because it also manufacture civil construction products. Ada yang bertanya lagi, kenapa tidak menggunakan seberdinamik sebagai entity yang melabur? Kenapa saya menggunakan my own personal capacity to come in to invest? Sebagai sebuah syarikat PLC, public listed company, prosedur dia agak ketat dan masa yang diperlukan untuk mendapat kelulusan juga agak lama. Dan dari segi engagement with our institutional investor of seberdinamik holdings Berhad, memang ada kata-kata dan kekhawatiran. Mereka tidak ingin seberdinamik untuk menjadi property developer ataupun property owner too much onto the civil construction, because as we know, in the recent past few years, there are already, the market is overflushed with too many properties around, and selling is also difficulties and so on and so forth. Jadi untuk tidak melawan hasrat institutional shareholders of seberdinamik, saya telah mengambil keputusan untuk melabur atas kapasiti individu. Sebab kedua, sebagai sebuah syarikat seberdinamik yang dibangunkan atas program apa yang disebutkan sebagai VDP, Vendor Development Program, dan alhamdulillah seberdinamik menjadi VDP Company of Petronas, dan atas dasar program ini seberdinamik manage to develop and grow up as a more sizable company until it get itself listed. So what it means here is, I feel indebted to the efforts of Petronas, who has rolled out the program to put seberdinamik to where it is today. Of course, we learn a lot. There are weaknesses. There are also a lot of advantages as a VDP company, but I would have to conclude that the VDP program of Petronas has helped seberdinamik a lot in terms of positioning itself to where it is today. So di luar sana, saya mempunyai kepercayaan, keyakinan bahawa ramai lagi SME company, terutamanya among the Bumiputra community, which required similar kind of helping hand. And based on that spirit, I believe that I want to play a role to develop more icon industry, what I term it, successful Bumiputera entrepreneur. And the only thing to make this happen is to throw them into the real business world. So I started off with SIB and have those Bumiputera entrepreneur who is willing to come in to play this role and take up this task. So this efforts or this company, when we took over, at the very early stage is at 40 cents per share. It has grown to what it is today. At the peak, it reached 3 ringgit per share, and now is fluctuating between 2.5 to 2.7 ringgit Malaysia per share. So for me, this is certain level of confidence from the investor to SCIB, and also indicates the capability of Bumiputera, who has came in and take this challenge to run a public listed company. So based on that, again, it goes back to the issue of sustainability. Kita meletakkan keyakinan dan kepercayaan bahawa pengekalan, pengujudan sesebuah syarikat itu amat penting. Kita tak boleh maknanya tak cenggok in such a way that at one time we managed to reach certain level of success in terms of the market capitalization shares value per shares, and after that it goes down to the drain and the investment from investor collapse and a lot of sufferings being imposed or experienced by the investor. So sustainability is also key goals that SCIB is putting in terms of perancangan yang ianya rancangkan. So what is SCIB? SCIB wants to become an integrated solution provider di dalam bidang civil construction. And civil construction is very, very important because that is the gateway for entrepreneur to know what are other opportunities ahead. So dalam perantauan ke seluruh dunia, kita melihat bahawa setiap negara mempunyai project developments, dan the first thing is it needs a civil capabilities company to come in to build roads, to build houses, to build commercial residences, and so on and so forth. So SCIB membuka pintu perniagaan dan maklumat yang lain seberademik juga akan tahu, dan seberademik juga akan datang untuk sebagai syarikat yang mempunyai kepakaran dan bidang yang berlainan. Dan what we have done in SCIB when myself and my team took over, the geographical positioning is being increased. We have taken up jobs in Indonesia, we have taken up jobs in Oman, we have taken up jobs in Qatar, and very soon in United Arab Emirates and quite a number of other countries. So, as what I've said, all countries they have their own development plans, and SCIB will come in as one of the service provider that can take up this kind of opportunity. So that is on SCIB. Dan seterusnya saya ingin menjelaskan why K-Power is required. K-Power ataupun kumpulan PowerNet Berhad. K-Power adalah merupakan syarikat bila kita took over, it's also at the same price, roughly around 40-50 cents per share. But we bought it at a premium at approximately 1 ringgit per share, and it has appreciated over roughly around a year to a value of what it is today. It is traded di Bursa Saham Malaysia dengan nilai di antara 2 ringgit 50 sen kepada RM2.80. At the peak, it reached RM3 above. So it again shows that we are very, very thankful to the investors, stakeholders who has come in to support the efforts of K-Power to position itself as a enterprise that can bring profitability to the company. So perniagaan asas K-Power, bila kita come in, they have more or less three activities which is running. One is the textile industry. Second is a property which is being leased out in Liverpool. Dan yang ketiga, a project developments, a medium-sized project development in Sentol. So when we came in, we restructured the company, and the existing activity that is going on, especially on textiles, we are putting in additional investment so that this business can be strengthened and it can grow further to become a more integrated solutions provider from the textile perspective. At the same time, we injected in another 4 core business. One is the utility and energy. The other divisions will be logistic. One more, third divisions will be, we call it as property. Yeah? We don't call it property development, we classify it under property. What it means here is, it can be property like Liverpool, which we have purchased and lease it out. It can be maybe boutique hotels, which we lease or we buy, and then we lease it out or we manage it. So we also do property development from the perspective of that division, the property division. Organizer asked me to announce that it will pause for a short while, and it will be continue back shortly. Ya, okey. Minta maaf gangguan tadi sebab program ini direncanakan untuk participations of 30 numbers, but now it has reached more than sekarang ada partisipasi sebanyak 105 ya. So the organizer just upgraded it. So kita sambung semula ya. Jadi saya ada sebutkan tadi di antara core business that the management has designed for K-Power. The third segment or third divisions of the business of K-Power will be property. So property ini ditafsirkan sebagai property development, property that acquired and then lease and manage and bring in the inflow ataupun income dia. Dan yang keempat yang diwujudkan baru-baru ini adalah healthcare and technologies. So kalau kita lihat model perniagaan K-Power ini, ianya lebih dibentuk dalam situasi konsep apa yang orang sebutkan sebagai we do not depend on one entity in one basket. So meaning to say that that basket has quite a number of other items, so that ianya ada elemen sustainability. So what it means here is, let's say the energy and utility divisions, the business is not that bullish due to the economic downturn and so on. Most probably the logistic will still be a requirement, and of course maybe the property divisions will still have a lot of prospect and opportunity, and of course the healthcare and technologies division will always be something which is ongoing kind of business. So with that kind of situations, the management will look into at one time which is the most required or the most highest prospect in terms of the business at that particular duration and time. So with that, it can maintain the sustainability issues of goals that K-Power is being created. Yeah. So in all the three entities, I've been touching and has been emphasizing the word sustainability. Yeah. Dan sustainability ini sebenarnya mempunyai skop yang amat besar. Dalam istilah yang lain, other components that is related to sustainability is our roles in terms of managing the environment, our roles in managing in terms of the health and safety aspect, and then sustainability in terms of adhering the company operations to the international standards and code of practices, especially things like how we manage foreign workers, how we treat foreign workers so that it will not become a issue that violate the humanity issue out of it, and so on and so forth. So maknanya semua ini kita letakkan sebagai garis panduan yang amat penting yang pengurusan perlu ikut. So I will say that the other reasons of K-Power, as I've emphasized, to create the industry icon. And of course, like what I mentioned, people can talk, people can say, people can come up with a lot of theory, but at the end of the day, whether this knowledge and theory can be put in practice and roll it out to generate the required results that is needed. So inilah antara sebab-sebab pengujudan syarikat selain daripada seberdynamic yang diusahakan atas dasar pribadi saya dan juga rakan-rakan yang sama-sama mempunyai matlamat dan idea yang serupa. Ya. So I think dengan yang sedemikian saya akhiri sembang santai ini dan saya akan zoom it into soalan-soalan yang dikemukakan. Ya. Is there anybody who like to just ask in audio or in verbal? Yeah. Supaya sesi ini nampak lebih ceria sikit daripada just one way traffic saya saja yang bercakap. Encik Kamal? Fuad. Encik Fuad Kamal. You would like to ask some question? Please proceed.
Hello. Hello.
Yeah. Encik Fuad kan?
Ya, dengar Dato.
Dengar. Go ahead.
Okay. Assalamualaikum Dato.
Waalaikumsalam.
Apa khabar?
Baik, alhamdulillah.
Okay, just simple question from me. Hello Dato, dengar ke?
Dengar.
Okay, saya nak tanya macam mana Datuk melihat kita punya artificial intelligence AI dalam kita punya ni framework of business.
Okay.
Sejauh mana Datuk melihat AI ni dalam perkembangan dalam bisnes?
Okay, Encik Fuad, itu saja.
Ya.
Okey, terima kasih banyak. Saya ingin menegaskan bahawa soalan ini satu soalan yang amat baik, amat relevan ya. Kalau kita lihat AI ini adalah merupakan satu komponen yang amat penting di dalam the entire frontier technology concept of Industry Revolution 4.0. Dan the main goals and objective of Industry Revolution 4.0 is to improve the efficiency and increase the productivity. So maknanya ia akan menghasilkan suatu budaya keputusan yang lebih efisien dan seterusnya akan menghasilkan produktiviti yang lebih baik. Ya. So AI ini bagi saya merupakan suatu pengetahuan dan juga to certain extent is technology related that can helps individual, that can help organization, that can help a nation to move forward to be more efficient and creating more productivity. So kalau kita lihat sebagai contoh ya, serba dynamic. Kita menggunakan AI technology to assist our customer to help to diagnose very massive big data and come out with the analytical results. What is the conditions of the asset and what need to be done onto the asset. So that is one part. And other than that, kita juga telah berjaya untuk mewujudkan satu apps bagi mengenal pasti COVID patient. Sama ada this COVID patient is negative or it is positive. Tapi cabaran yang kita hadapi adalah data yang diperlukan untuk menstabilkan this particular apps using AI technology tidak mencukupi. Tapi I will say that alhamdulillah we have managed to get access into other countries. Through the collaboration with Islamic Development Bank, we have managed to go into 2 countries. I will not mention which country. And with that, I will say that we will get all the data required so that kita boleh memantapkan this particular technology using AI as a tools to diagnose whether the patient is COVID positive or negative. Selain daripada itu, AI juga amat penting di dalam aplikasi-aplikasi yang lain. Umpamanya, Sebadani telah merangkakan smart maintenance program. So, smart maintenance program is again a collections of massive data. Dan data yang banyak itu kita memerlukan AI untuk mempercepatkan proses maklumat yang begitu besar supaya kita tahu the conclusions, what is the outcome of it. Tetapi kita perlu memahami AI ini kalau dia ada historical background that relate to that particular data, dia akan dapat memproses, memberikan suatu keputusan yang tepat. Tapi kalau data yang ada tidak ada historical related data to it, then that is where the machine learning capabilities has to come in. It has to go through a little bit of additional process so that it can come up with the results of the data itself. So kegunaan dia memang kepelbagaian dan adalah merupakan suatu yang amat diperlukan. Dan AI itself cannot be stand alone. It has to be tied up to other pillars of the Industrial Revolution 4.0 like cloud computing, and then the other elements like IoT, because IoT is required to help you to collect the required data in a more precise manner. Kesimpulan dia adalah kalau data yang kita kumpulkan itu data yang tidak berguna, maknanya penganalisaan yang akan dilakukan itu juga. We have 3 projects ongoing over there, and one of the projects was being affected by the lockdown in Qatar. The other 2 projects has managed to proceed even during the time of lockdown, because it's classified under the category of essential. I strongly believe that everybody is aware that Qatar will be hosting the 2022 World Football game, and now it's already towards, I would say, entering into the second half of 2020. So there are a lot of construction projects needs to be speed up so that it can meet the deadline of 2022 for the where they are hosting the game. So upon mentioning that, of course, essentials category in terms of the definitions in that country is also related to projects that will interrupt the core revenue contributions to the nation. Of course, in Qatar is gas. They are not so much on oil. So projects that are related to that category is considered as essential. So to make the explanation brief, the same thing in the months of May and middle June, one of the 3 projects could not proceed, but the other 2 projects are proceeding. So now everything is back to active mode, and we are doing the necessary catch up to try to catch up in terms of our projection and trajectory kind of achievement. Oman, we have 2 contracts over there under SCIB, and one of it was affected, the other one was ongoing even during the lockdown situation. So all in all, what we are saying here is, SCIB, we have actually put up a new revised projections for 2020. And I would say that it is still something which will not surprise the investor. And it's what we have rolled out and announced recently, that SCIB has put up a dividend policy, which it says that the stakeholders will be rewarded with a dividend not less than 30% of PAT. And before the issuance of the dividend, we will do a stress test on the financial situation and status of the company before announcing the release of dividend. But as far as the management is concerned, we strongly believe that it is something which we can reward our shareholders accordingly. So that is related to the question. And I will say that there will be more positive things coming in. The management team has been working very hard. And I will say that we are quite bullish and convinced that 2020 will still be a good year. We always make a statement saying that qualifying with a conditions that the pandemic wave, the second wave of COVID will not happen. If the second wave of COVID pandemic comes into Malaysia and also other countries, then I will say that it will be quite sad kind of situations for businesses, because it is something which we cannot do much, because when it is lockdown, there is no movement in terms of work, and then also sometimes the work is a lot, but we cannot move in additional manpower. We can only use the existing manpower that exists during that particular situation before the lockdown. So whatever that, we believe that the entire world, the scientists, the medical experts, and so on are working very hard, and hopefully mitigations actions can be put in place and generate the results to avoid the second wave of COVID pandemic. I have also one question that came in, which says that the management has made statements that K-Power will be able to have a market capitalizations of 5 billion ringgit Malaysia in 5 years. So the question is asking verifications of confirmation whether this is true or it is just statements to attract investor to the company. I will say that the management of all the three entities, Cabaran Holdings, Cabaran Holdings Berhad, K-Power, and also SCIB, will make very responsible statements. Meaning to say that before any statements is released, number one, we have to comply to the governance and also the regulatory guides from Bursa and also Security Commission. That we cannot violate, and to the base of whatever we issue out documentations, there are disclaimer to it. We also highlighted the needs that tie up to that particular statements. So based to on this request for verifications, to the base of what the management is looking at is, we believe that the first step that the management has to do now is to quickly enlarge the share capital of SCIB and also K-Power, so that it can reach at least a market capitalization of 1 billion. So why 1 billion? Because it is a norm and a guide to a lot of institutional investor, that 1 billion ringgit market cap is something which will entice their appetite to come in. And SCIB and K-Power has a lot of plans in which they need additional funding to come in to grow the two company. Yeah? And achievement of one market capitalization is something that is the first hurdle that the management is looking at to overcome. So back to the question, a 5 billion market capitalizations over 5 years, I believe it is something which is achievable. Because the first hurdle of 1 billion, both entity based on the corporate plans and other things being put in place is something which is achievable within 1 to 1.5 years from the takeover of day one of both entity. So if you make exponential relations to that, I believe that 5 billion in 5 years market capitalization is something which is achievable, with a disclaimer that there is no major upset in terms of the global economy. There's some, yeah. Yeah, sure. Proceed. Dato' Muhammad Yusuf, huh? Dato', you would like to ask some question? Kindly proceed, please. Not responding, huh?
We have a few questions.
Okey, ada soalan di depan saya. Soalan dia berbunyi, apakah perasaan Dato' apabila sekarang menerajui 3 syarikat PLC serentak yang bernilai ratusan juta dan bilion? Ramai pemilik syarikat ke listed company melihat dan merasa glamour, tetapi tanggungjawab sebenarnya ia amat berat apabila tugas memikul harapan pelabur-pelabur, pemegang saham, masyarakat dan ekonomi negara umumnya. Sebagai suatu komen kepada soalan ataupun statement yang dikemukakan tadi, saya juga pernah ditanya dari segi apakah matlamat saya melibatkan di dalam keusahawanan ini adalah untuk menjadi tycoon semata-mata. Jawapan saya adalah saya tidak pernah bermimpi untuk menjadi jutawan ataupun untuk menjadi usahawan to the level of the achievement of today. Apa yang saya niatkan adalah we have to understand what we are doing. Yeah? That's number one. Number two, we have to have the integrity to gain the trust and the support of the financial institution. Dan saya ingin menegaskan ini sebagai suatu fundamentals yang amat penting. Ya. Pertama, memahami apa yang kita buat. So in both three companies, Cyberdynamic Holdings Berhad, and then the K-Power and also ACIB, we need to understand what is the core technology and the core engineering capabilities and the core management capabilities of the three entity. Tanpa memahami asas perniagaan ini, kita tidak akan dapat mencapai the end results of it. So let me put in a more simple word. For example, like Cyberdynamic Holdings Berhad, we are embarking in a big way in terms of innovation and technology, on the belief that when we understand and have this capability in-house, then we can go out and compete with our competitor, which are global international entity. If we don't have this, then we will not be able to achieve it. And as of today, I will say that we have achieved to a certain extent that this in-house technology is actually able to be achieved and compete with other multinational companies. Sebagai contoh ya, di dalam pengurusan di dalam perniagaan ataupun engineering aspect of parts manufacturing, we have invested very heavily sebagai ini into Pengerang Eco Industrial Park, into Bintulu Integrated Energy Hub, into Rasa Kemah operations that is also ongoing at the moment. All these are manufacturing parts of components of equipments and so on and so forth. So meaning to say that we understand the engineering and we have this in-house capability. Then we can come out to emerge to become a global player and competitor. So the same thing in terms of frontier technology, industrial revolution 4.0, we have been doing a lot of things, and all these are in-house built and developed on capability. The same things will apply to ACIB, the same things will apply to K-Power. ACIB, for example, they are manufacturing products of civil construction component. We are actually entering into more serious things like 3D for civil constructions and so on. It's under process and it will roll out as a proven technology which can help the civil construction industry. Itu sebagai satu contoh ya. Dan banyak lagi benda lain yang sedang diusahakan sekarang. The same thing in K-Power. So meaning to say that if we can have this translated into practical things which people can see, then the wealth will come in at that time. Yeah? A lot of us is thinking a shortcut. I give an example, like we run business, the first thing that we have in mind is don't declare the profit. Because if you declare the profit, income tax will come and chase you. So you want to run away so that you can save certain money from the inland revenue. But Server Dynamic and also all the other two entities that we are managing, I've been telling to the entire management team, we should think the other way around. The other way around is we have to declare the actual profitability. And let's pay to inland revenue. It's okay, because inland revenue need resources. The country needs the resources to build up the country also. And by declaring this, then people will see that your business is really making money. Then investor will have the belief to invest into your company. Then financial institutions like bank and so on will come in to borrow you the borrowings. So from one aspect, you feel that you are losing because you pay income tax. But I know the opinion that you pay income tax, you are helping to build up the nation. That is good for your business. If the nation is not built up, it's not stable and so on, your business will also be in trouble. And at the same time, when you declare that your business is making so much profit, financial institutions will come in and support you because they believe in your business. And other funding exercise will also come in, like Sukuk, bond, and so on and so forth. So this is how I look at it. And one of the problems for micro and SMEs, medium enterprise, small and medium enterprise, a lot of company of this status, they cannot get the financial support because the most important document, which is the audited account, is not made available. The profitability, if it is audited account, is not that attractive. So as a result of it, it's difficult for you to get the borrowings. So my view, I might not be correct, but this is what I believe. Declare the actual profit, pay to inland revenue, and move forward with a bigger plans. Then you can become a tycoon or multi-billionaire and so on and so forth. That is something which you deserve it. So don't think of trying to become rich without having a strong fundamentals. That is what I'm going to say.
Hello.
Yeah, Attila, yeah, go ahead.
Hi, Dato. Morning.
Yeah, morning.
Yeah, I have 3 questions for you. Firstly, where do you see the oil price going after the recent announcement by OPEC and allies that they will ease the oil production cut going forward? Secondly, does the recent 2020 capex cut by Petronas has impacted Sabah dynamic in any way? Thirdly, what is Sabah dynamic doing in any way to weather the current situation where there's not only COVID-19 pandemic to worry about, but there's also that low oil price environment that you need to take into consideration going forward. Thank you.
Okay, Attila, very good question. Thank you so much. I need to rush because time is really envying us. The oil price related questions. I'm of the opinion that whatever happened to the oil and gas industry is just an interim situation. And those parties who are involved in this volatility, I do not want to name the party. I will say that they've also learned a lesson and they are coming back with more realistic and matured policy, trying to build back the confidence in the oil related environment. And that is where the statements that has been released out recently moving forward in terms of the contractual price of oil and the productions rate of respective OPEC and non-OPEC country. All those are showing a very positive matured decision, and we will see that the price is more or less moving between 40 to 45 US dollar per barrel, which is still quite a good reasonable price. So as far as Sabah dynamic, one of the mindset and the mentality when people mention Sabah dynamic, they will relate it to oil and gas. Because historically, for the past 26 years, 80% of the revenue is coming from oil and gas related sector. That is very true. But the management has been trying very hard to also diversify into other non-oil and gas segment. So we are doing that, and hopefully over the next 3 years, we can reduce the dependency on the oil and gas sector from 85% to something like 45 to 50%. The rest will be from non-oil and gas. We need to spread it out over a 3 years plan. The next question is Sabah dynamic trying to say that oil and gas will not be a bullish sector to look at? No, I do not believe that. What I'm saying is a rule of thumb, we cannot run a company by just putting the revenue on one sector only. To distribute the risk, we need to have a few other sectors so that if anything happens to one sector, we can still hope and put more effort onto other sectors so that the trajectory, focus and intentions and plans of the holistic plan of the company will still be achieved once the annual year performance close. And I strongly believe that oil sector will still be relevant at least for the next 20 years based on the global reserve availability. And again, those data on the reserve of oil is really not accurate. But as an average, 20 years is still something which is very, very relevant to the best of my knowledge. it will be still a sector which will be bullish for the next 20 years to come. Petronas cost reductions exercise, whether it's affected subdynamic or not, I will say that to a certain extent for the EPCC component of it, yes, it has affected. For the maintenance contract, is all still ongoing. It's just that Petronas is more cautious, even though there is ACV, accumulated contract value, budgeted. The employees or the management or the execution team of Petronas is also very cautious not to overspend. And as a result of that, it do have a minimum effect onto the maintenance, but all the things are still ongoing, no contract being cancelled. And to the best of my knowledge, as a company, Subadynamic, we have also not been called for further price reductions, except for those related to capex. So I would say that Petronas has been playing its national responsibility to grow and help the nations in hard, difficult time at this moment. They still roll out contracts and so on, as long as it does not jeopardize the internal performance and targets which Petronas has for its own also. But in general, I would say that Petronas has been playing a very proactive national responsibility to activate and to still make the oil sector a very relevant sector, contributing to the country economy. The third question related to current situations, oil price relatively low as compared to other years, which it is selling at 80 to 100 US dollar per barrel, plus this COVID pandemic situation. Yes, of course, we are also affected with all this kind of situation, but I would say that one of the good thing of Subadynamic and also other companies that is under the group, we have a very wide geographical positioning. As of today, via the acquisitions, merger, and so on, Subadynamic is operating in 6 regions, 21 countries. So by mentioning that, the COVID pandemic situations also moved from one region to the other region. It started off from China, and after that it moved into Europe, it moved into US, and then moved more or less into Middle East, the African continent, Southeast Asia region. So it does not happen at the same time. Like the Southeast Asia region countries is undergoing a recovering process, like Singapore, Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, and a few other countries is also showing improvement. Middle East is also showing improvement from 800 new cases every day. It drops now to something like 200 plus. Some of the countries are opening up their border, European country, UK. So African continent now is, I would say, some at the early stage, some is already at the peak of the COVID pandemic. So what I'm trying to say here is, as a company that has positioning in different countries, we are looking at what is best in each country, where we can activate and do more activities in those respective countries. Those which are locked down, can't do much, we will of course follow the country regulations. And hopefully by doing so, we don't say that we totally are not affected. We are affected, but we are trying our very best to move within that framework so that we can still go into achieve the end results by 31st December 2020. The same thing, like if you look at our activities, ICT is an ongoing activities. Maintenance is also an ongoing activity. So Cyberdynamic as an entity, we are focusing these two things in a big way at the moment, so that it can compensate the losses in EPCC and other related businesses. So I would say that as an overall, it is still doable, and let's wait for the result. Second quarter results will be announced very soon. Is closed now, and the management is compiling and talking to auditors and so on to get the figures agreed by both parties. And once it is announced, let's see how the market will take the achievement to be. But as a general statement, I would say that it is manageable. We are still moving and believing that we can achieve what we want and we have planned out in terms of incorporating the sustainability plan into our work ethics. Okay.
We have more questions.
No.
Can you read the question?
You shouldn't have forwarded. I have one question here, waiting for other questions. Soalan dia, saya melihat isu terutamanya sebagai PLC bukan sahaja sebagai ikon masyarakat dan pelabur, tetapi bagaimana boleh membantu SME? Apakah perancangan Dato' sebagai ikon PLC kepada SME yang ada? To a certain extent, that question is relevant to Cyberdynamic. I would like to give an example. Sebagai contoh, kita baru-baru ini mendapat satu kontrak 1.78 bilion US dollar to design, develop, build, construct innovation hub in the state of Abu Dhabi in United Arab Emirates. So what we are doing now is, in UAE, there is no such thing as localization, because the population of the country is quite small. The entire country is using massive foreign expertise, majority coming from India, Pakistan, certain levels are Nepalese, of course other neighboring countries like Palestinian, Syrian, and of course Lebanese. So based on that, there is no localization kind of initiative, not to say initiative, there's no such kind of requirements for localization in UAE. So what Cyberdynamic is doing is, we are in contact with SME Corporation, Matret to a certain extent. We have worked out a contracting strategy where it comprises of suppliers and subcontractors of different disciplines, and we are in contact with SME corporations to look at their members, where they can come in and are interested to play a role in that particular sizable contract. And we hope that with this kind of hand helping exercise, it can bring more SMEs, Malaysian company overseas, and with that we can position Malaysian expertise overseas also in a big way. So that is to that particular question.
That's only have one question by voice.
Yeah, okay. Cik Jamil, is it?
Ya, saya Dato'.
Yeah, Cik Jamil.
Assalamualaikum. Assalamualaikum Dato'. Saya Jamil daripada syarikat World Based Solutions Sdn Bhd.
Okay.
Okay Dato', saya nak tanya berkenaan dengan Dato' probably dah jawab partly tadi. Okay, let's say my company is SME. We are involved in construction and facility management. So is there any specific program, probably a vendor, macam Dato' mention tadi, Cyberdynamic also VDP to Petronas masa mula-mula dulu.
Yeah.
So I think we SME probably we want to work with server dynamic first. Kalau ada specific program macam Dato' sebut tadi, mungkin ada kontrak yang kita boleh terlibat sama untuk ke overseas tu. So macam mana kalau kita nak terlibat dengan server dynamic ni? Adakah specific program yang kita perlu lalui atau bagaimana Dato'?
Okay.
Terima kasih.
Pertama, server dynamic memang menandatangani perjanjian dengan dulu MITI ya. Tapi sekarang ni is under MEDEC, and that particular program is called as Anchor Company program, and program tersebut masih wujud dan masih valid ya. Dan bila kita mendapat that appointment as an anchor vendor company, what it means here is we have to create VDP program inside server dynamic, kumpulan server dynamic, and we have done that. We have done it in terms of the registrations of VDP through our supply chain management. You can always log into our website, and there will be guides given to you to submit in your applications, expressions of interest through the supply chain management. I would like to, saya akan mengambil peluang ini untuk menjelaskan antara usaha-usaha yang kita telah buat ya. Kita telah melantik VDP company Johor chapter ya. Kenapa Johor chapter? Because in the oil and gas industry, repeat is a very sizable project which is related to oil and gas, dan kita mewujudkan satu program khas VDP Johor chapter. And then kita juga mewujudkan program yang sama untuk chapter East Malaysia. Untuk VDP di Peninsula Malaysia, it goes straight away to the supply chain management system. Dan dari segi rekod yang kita telah catatkan dari segi release of contracts out to the VDP, I would say that it has reached over the years almost reaching billions value of supply and also contracting opportunity. But of course, at my level, it is still it has still not really reached the level of what we want it to be lah. Because what we want it to be is bukan saja kita nak memberi kerja. We want the VDP company to have their own motivations so that they can move to the next level and grow independent, and also not just to become a national contractor doing service in Malaysia. We want that entity to go global. That is very important. And has we achieved that? I would say no. How many years has we embarked onto this anchor vendor company? That appointment was during Tokpa when he was the MITI minister. So I would say that it's a program which has been in existence within Dynamic for the past 5 years, 5 tahun. Dari segi nilaian kontrak yang diagihkan, seperti yang saya sebutkan, it has reached 1 billion ringgit Malaysia, and of course the results, as what I mentioned, just sekadar untuk memberi kerja sahaja. Tapi bukan itu matlamat utama. Kita nak we want to create a successful VDP company so that they can grow big and they can also go international. So very specific to the question that I mentioned just now, we are trying to use that sizable contract, the Innovation Hub contract, to bring company yang mempunyai motivasi yang tinggi untuk bersama di dalam projek tersebut. There will be some pre-qualifications, discussions and so on, and we hope this can also helps to get our SME see the outside of Malaysia world. Yeah? Saya pernah dalam perbincangan bab-bab berkenaan dengan going outside of Malaysia, ramai yang berpandangan kalau kita sebut Middle East country is a war-torn country. So when you have this kind of mindset, straight away it demotivate you from trying to go out to do jobs. And then there are a lot of news of Malaysian company going into outside, and they have not been successful. That is another very scary story that demotivate a Malaysian company from going outside, especially to the Middle East region, to the African regions, and other Central Asia, and so on. So I would say that if a company is not successful, don't use it just as an example for you to make a decision. Study where the failure happened. What happened that caused the failure? And work out a mitigation so that it will not happen to you if you go out of Malaysia. Yeah? So a very simple thing is practice walk the talk. Yeah? Walk the talk maknanya as the owner, as a promoter, as a key management person, you have to go down to the ground, talk to various people, various parties, and then mitigate the problems based on those solid information yang you dapat. Yeah? So I strongly believe that they will help. So back to the question, yes, you can apply in through the supply chain management, and then we are going to take very seriously. In fact, I've a personal briefing to our supply chain management to come up with the contracting strategy where we can cover for suppliers and also for subcontractor. So we hope it can roll out, and that groundwork movement in Innovation Hub will only start early January next year. But in this 5 to 6 months, it's also very important for us to close up all these contracting issues and supplying issues. Ada lagi? One, okay. Okay, there is one question that comes in. Soalan dia berbunyi, Assalamualaikum TS, thank you for sharing your experience and views with us. I am a remiser with a few thousand clients. One of the main questions raised by my clients is, as these PLCs grow, they will most likely raise funds by asking shareholders for some more money via rights issue. Will Sebadike, K-Power and SIB do likewise? To the best of my views, yeah, and my views, of course, will also have to be debated and argued and get the necessary votes from other stakeholders and shareholders. I'm of the opinion that I do realize that if you issue rights, what it means here is the existing shareholder has to also come up with the money. And if they cannot come up with the money, it means that the shares will be further diluted. So as much as possible, in my opinion, we will avoid raising fund to rights issuance. I repeat, to the base of my view, which is subject to support from other shareholders, I will discourage issuance of rights, or I will discourage raising funds through issuance of rights. Yeah, taking into the consideration, especially those minority shareholders will not be in the position to come up with the money to maintain or to buy the rights that has been issued. So that will be my answer. And of course, like what I always mention, there are also other ways which shares will be further diluted, which is through placement issues. But again, I will stress the point here that the dilutions will not reduce down the profitability or the dividends that is going to be issued out to the respective shareholders. Normally, those funds is required to balance out the ratio between debts and also the equity, or in another word, the gearing ratio need to be balanced up. Yeah? So I would say that in such a situations, we will do it in such a way that it will not disturb so much in terms of the reductions of respective shares. But if it happens, we will ensure that it is for the growth of the company, and also to take up the necessary expansions of contracts that is available in hand. Yeah. There's another question that comes in. Dato', mana yang lebih penting pada Dato', ataupun ke arah manakah pulangan kepada pemegang saham dalam bentuk dividen ataupun kedua growth? Ya. Saya berpandangan bahawa kedua-dua ini penting. Ya. Of course, kalau kita lihat polisi seberdinamik, in terms of the dividend, minimum 30% from PAT, dan dari segi pengamalan setakat ini memang kita isu dalam quarterly basis. Ya. Kenapa quarterly basis? Because there might be some shareholders who cannot wait for 1 year. There are some short-term shareholders who would like to exit maybe after a few months. So with a policy in place that we issue on a quarterly basis, we hope that whoever has put in their trust, kepercayaan kepada syarikat seberdinamik, mereka akan menikmati dividen tu on quarterly basis. So that is what the practice at the moment. Ya. Kedua, for the growth, memang kita tak boleh nafikan bahawa syarikat mesti berkembang daripada setahun ke tahun yang selebihnya. But I would say this is something which is required now. If we don't have any growth, at the end of the day, the company will lose out in terms of competition, because growth is something that is required to convince lenders that we are doing and using the money to grow the company. And then secondly, we need to grow so that we can also compete with other larger entity globally. But what we will assure is that fund is really for the growth of the company, and it will bring in higher profitability and give better returns to existing shareholder. Soalan seterusnya. The questions is, was Serba strategically pivot into different business area to be one of the core revenue other than engineering, service provider and ICT? Untuk soalan ini, for this particular question, my answer at the moment, my answer at the moment is Cyberdynamic will focus on the 4 core capabilities: operation and maintenance, EPCC, ICT, and also education and training. Tetapi bila kita sebut sebagai ICT, ICT ni is quite a big scope. For example, like the innovation hub that we managed to secure the job in Abu Dhabi, it is the content of the Industrial Revolution 4.0 that we put in the EPCC package that attract the interest of the owner, the asset owner. So we put it in such a way that our IT capabilities have different value and different architectural design that makes it attractive to them to award it to Cyberdynamic. So what it means here is this IR 4.0 capability, we are also using it into quite a number of other products. I give an example, smart farming. Smart farming ni, it may relate it to food, pemakanan. Tetapi bukan pemakanan itu yang menjadi core business Cyberdynamic. Yang pelibatan kita adalah macam mana Industrial Revolution 4.0 teknologi ini boleh digunakan supaya farming become more efficient and the productions of the farm comes up in a much bigger way. And we use our e-commerce platform to do the selling so that it gets a bigger market segment. So dalam bentuk yang sedemikian, dan kadang-kadang orang salah faham as if that sebenarnya sekarang ni dah hilang fokus, dia dah masuk dalam farming. It is not that. What we are saying is we are using the Industrial Revolution 4.0 technology to come into the farming industry. The actual farming activities and so on is still done by other people, but we are using that technology to go to the end results. We want efficiency, we want productivity, and we are using this expertise to boost up this particular sector. So dalam pendekatan yang sedemikian, then I will say that yes, we will be entering into different sector. Tapi the entry into that sector is more towards that contribution. Ada lagi soalan seterusnya. Salam Dato, is everybody aware that moratorium will end September, October? Do you foresee this issue will affected the business and market as lots of rumors that the demand will decreasing after moratorium ends? Saya berpandangan bahawa semua pihak-pihak yang berkenaan, when I said pihak-pihak yang berkenaan, it includes the lenders, which are the banks. It includes Bank Negara, which is the regulator. It also includes the government of the day, which has shown a lot of passionate efforts to assist the people from all segments of the community strata, from business, from household, and then all the across the board different community strata. So what I'm trying to say here is, I believe that the implications will be mitigated. Memang apa yang menanya soalan ini secara teori ini akan berlaku seperti yang dinyatakan. But I strongly believe that all the parties who are in this loop of decision making has put in the mitigation plan to avoid such a situation from happening. There's that much that I can say. I do know some of the efforts and so on and so forth, and from the theory aspect of it, it should be working. And what I'm saying here is I am not so concerned that the demand will be decreasing after the moratorium ends. There will be mitigation actions that will come in to mitigate such a situation. Okay, another question, very interesting one. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. I'm pretty sure that you are facing many challenges in your life. What are the biggest challenges tersebut? Yeah, it's very true that there are a lot of challenges. And I think as entrepreneur, usahawan, as far as I remember, 27 years managing a business from almost very small micro entrepreneur to what it is today. I would say that the biggest challenge is managing cash flow. Yeah. In my life, I have been summoned to court, and summoned to court is okay. Tetapi masuk kandang orang bersalah tu, itu yang agak jarang orang mengalami. Ya. And I have experienced that, dibicarakan dan kena berdiri di kandang orang bersalah. Ya. So I still remember those days are days when as an employer, as the owner of the company, you cannot pay the EPF of your employees. And paying EPF of the employees is a crime, is categorized as criminal act. So with that, when the case is being mentioned in court, you have to dibicarakan di kandang orang bersalah. So I think in that aspect, it is a humiliation, and it is really a big challenge. And failing which, the next step is going to be jail. But I would say that I was a bit lucky. It does not reach that level of decisions by putting up all the evidence and so on and so forth. There is no intention of not paying, but it is just that the cash flow is really in no way that it can help to pay on time those EPF owed to the employees. Also, there are cases in which people gathered, protested, and scratched your car, and all kinds of threats and so on because you cannot pay their salary. So these are realistic things that a lot of entrepreneurs are facing. But again, you need a strong, passionate heart and also perseverance to be able to sustain and move on, so that it can go to the end goals to become a successful entrepreneur. So back to the question, I would say that managing cash flow is one of the biggest challenge. Sometimes it's not so much you don't have enough job. You have done job, but you are not being paid. And you use all legal means and so on, but people just cannot pay you. So you still have a shortage in terms of cash flow. So managing cash flow is one of the biggest challenge. Regardless whether you are small or big, I would say that it's the same thing. The bigger you are, the bigger cash flow that you are managing. And if there is any stage or point that the cash is being stopped, then you'll be facing even a bigger challenge and also problems to solve. Yeah? So in brief, managing cash flow is one of the biggest challenge in the life of entrepreneur from my perspective. Yeah? So, okay, I think we have overshot the time. I would like to really take this opportunity to everybody. Thank you so much for joining this session. And I value your participations. Hopefully some of the information shared can be useful to you. And I hope and wish everyone of you a very successful journey in whatever undertakings and plans and things that you are planning out. Believe that outside the world, there is two options. It will be either failure or success. If you opt for success, then work hard for it, work smart, and be perseverance. And I believe you will achieve the goals that you want, inshallah. So with that, I would like to thank you again. Assalamualaikum, salam sejahtera.